You've been flat out lied to by Hollywood and dime store Halloween costumes. The idea that pirates were charming rebels, full of witty banter, is a brazen fabrication designed solely to sell movie tickets and cheesy eye patches. If you believed pirates were dashing rogue heroes, think Jack Sparrow with a drinking problem, rather than Jack the Ripper with a cutlass. You've swallowed decades of scripted nonsense. Blame 19th century adventure novels like Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island and every Disney pirate flick since the 1950s for this swashbuckling myth. Real pirates. Ruthless, murderous profiteers running terror empires on the high seas. Early 18th century Admiralty court records are unambiguous pirates dealt in brutal floggings, maroonings, and straight-up executions anyone, crew or victim. Blackbeard wasn't sweet-talking his way through the Caribbean 17th century, and early 18th century eyewitness accounts describe his reign of torture and fear in chilling detail. The 1990s excavation of Blackbeard's ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, uncovered butchered human remains and surgical torture tools, not props for charming pirates. If you bought into the myth of pirate as witty hero, congratulations, you just fell for the ocean's original marketing scam, way before Instagram influencers made scams trendy. Beyond their adventurous charm, popular tales tell of pirates hiding immense treasures on deserted islands. You've been straight-up hoodwinked by Hollywood, and yes, even Robert Louis Stevenson. Pirates never spent their lives burying gold like squirrely treasure goblins. That's a centuries-old fairy tale hammered into your head since grade school. Every movie from Pirates of the Caribbean to Saturday morning cartoons flaunts salty outlaws with cryptic maps and 10 marks the spot. Treasure Island. More like treasure fiction. Here's the brutal truth. Actual 17th and 18th century British court records show pirates mostly snatched food, rum, or bolts of cloth. Historians like David Cordingley have sifted through these files to reveal loot closer to groceries than gold bars. Archaeologists have found nearly zero buried chests, so unless your next beach trip ends with a stumble over a box of Captain Crunch, it's time to ditch the shovel. Captain William Kidd, the original buried treasure hype man, hid loot just once to bargain with the law, not to kick off a global teenage scavenger craze. Face it, pirates stashed cheese, not fortunes. If you still picture piles of gold, congrats, you just found the map to your lost socks. Not treasure. Along with treasure myths, stories often depict pirates closely accompanied by their faithful parrots or monkeys. Hollywood flat out lied real pirates never paraded around with parrots or monkeys glued to their shoulders. If you believe those swashbuckling blockbusters and cartoonish adventure tales, guess again. Thanks to Robert Louis Stevenson's 19th century smash Treasure Island, Long John Silver's talkative parrot still ruins costume parties everywhere, and every Disney disaster since, you've been brainwashed to picture pirates whispering secrets to neon-feathered sidekicks while monkeys pick their teeth. Here's the raw truth: pirates of the 17th and 18th centuries, the so-called Golden Age, cared about surviving scurvy, not hosting pet shows. Alexander Exquemelins, 1684. Book Pirates of America details actual ship logs filled with cows, pigs, and goats, all destined for the dinner pot. Archaeologists unearthing pirate wrecks off Madagascar found cattle bones, never a monkey cage. Today's cruise ship mascots get royal treatment compared to any parrot pirates dumped overboard. So if you imagine Blackbeard as a bargain bin Ace Ventura, congratulations, you've swallowed pure Hollywood fairy tales, hook, line, and sinker. These exotic pets join other iconic pirate accessories like eye patches, wooden legs, and hook hands. Hollywood straight up lied. Not every pirate sported an eye patch, peg leg, or hook hand. If you believed this, you bought into pure movie fiction. Pirates were not dressing like Halloween villains. Pop culture pushed the image of the dollar store Jack Sparrow, missing limbs head to toe, mainly thanks to 19th century Victorian novels like Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island and 20th century Hollywood blockbusters. But real ship logs and British Admiralty court archives from the 17th and 18th centuries expose the truth: these cartoonish disabilities were shockingly rare. When the Whydah Galley shipwreck was excavated in the 1980s, hundreds of pirate skeletons surfaced without a single peg leg or Captain Hook prosthetic. Early 18th century medical guides like the Sea Surgeon's Vade Mecum confirm most wounded pirates simply died. There was no gruesome costume change. So go ahead, rock that peg-legged pirate outfit, just know you're cosplaying a Victorian fever dream, not a real buccaneer. It's like dressing as a medieval knight with a jetpack. Pirate attire and accessories set the stage for dramatic acts of discipline, including the infamous walking the plank. You've been fed a Hollywood lie, thank those cheesy swashbuckler flicks and dime store adventure novels for locking pirates to the ridiculous image of planks and forced walks. If you believe that, think again. Real pirates weren't hosting deadly game shows. Victorian pulp writers and circus-like theme park rides concocted that nonsense. Everyone knows pirates made victims walk the plank because Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island from 1883 and generations of blockbuster films drilled it into your brain. But check real 18th century court records. Like the colonial trials of Blackbeard's crew, they barely mention planks. Actual punishments: marooning and outright murder, brutally mundane. Alexander Exquemelin's 17th century account Pirates of America confirms it. Pirates stranded enemies with pistols, not planks. And shipwreck archaeology doesn't lie, no IKEA collapsible planks here. Only evidence of savage violence. Still buying the plank myth? You just got played by pop culture's sneakiest con. Believe it or not, it's like expecting Uber drivers to do flying car tricks because sci-fi said so. Just as pirate punishments are legendary, so too is their distinctive YARR accent and colorful language. You've been flat-out conned by Hollywood. If you picture pirates as grizzled brutes barking "yar" and "shiver me timbers," blame Disney, not historical fact. Everyone thinks real pirates prowled the seas with these ridiculous Cornish accents, spouting lines fit for a third-grade Halloween skit. The entire YRR myth. Pure Robert Newton. Mugging as a West Country pirate in Disney's Treasure Island from 1950. Suddenly, every pirate from Somalia to the South China Sea sounds like an extra from a high school drama club. But 17th and 18th century pirates. Their letters, court records, and ship logs prove they spoke London slang, African Creoles, Caribbean patois, even Welsh or Irish, whatever port tossed them a language. Don't just take it from me. Marcus Rediker's 2004 classic, Villains of All Nations, uncovers pirate ships as global melting pots, not Disney's regional improv session. If you thought YAR was authentic, congrats, you're just Mickey Mouse's drunken uncle butchering karaoke, not Blackbeard himself. Their unique speech complements their vivid appearance, characterized by striped shirts, bandanas, and feathered hats. You've been flat-out conned by Hollywood and Halloween stores. Pirates were never the fashion icons rocking striped shirts, bandanas, or flamboyant feather hats. If you pictured Jack Sparrow swaggering down a plank, well, your brain is stuffed with pure movie fiction. Everyone's been fooled into thinking pirates prowled the Caribbean dressed like they just raided a theatrical costume shop. Stripes, scarves, and hats better suited for parrot feeding than sea battles. This fantasy blames swashbuckling blockbusters, tacky plastic costumes, and Victorian adventure novels. Yes, Robert Louis Stevenson, staring you down. Real evidence from early 18th century ship manifests reveals the brutal truth: pirates wore whatever scraps they could steal, or scavenge ragged coats, patched trousers, plain linen. That's survival gear, not style statements. Need proof? Check out the stark 17th-18 painting of Blackbeard's capture. Those men look more like ghostly laundry rejects than runway models. Pirates blended in with common sailors for a reason. Flashy clothes screamed, "Arrest me." If you imagined pirates flashing their style on Instagram, guess what? You've been punked by the ultimate hot topic hoax. Despite these recognizable outfits, pirates are believed to have disregarded rules, living in utter chaos. You've been royally duped by Hollywood and awful Halloween costumes. Pirates were not wild anarchists running amok. The chaos. Pure fiction, manufactured by lazy screenwriters and Victorian swashbuckling novels obsessed with sword fights and rum-soaked debauchery. If you believed pirates were lawless maniacs with eye patches, reckless feasts, and zero accountability, blame blockbuster films and 19th century adventure books for turning piracy into a floating frat party. Here's the bombshell: real pirates lived by strict written articles of agreement, signed by every crew member, just like Captain Bartholomew Roberts' detailed code from the early 18th century. still skeptical. Late 17th century pirate trial records prove they argued over rules like board office workers, not death matches. Imagine tedious HR meetings, not cannon battles. And when North Carolina shipwrecks were excavated in the 1990s, archaeologists uncovered personal belongings marked with crew names showing pirates respected property and enforced sharing systems. Pirates even voted to remove their captains. Sound familiar? If you thought pirates were just medieval rock stars, congratulations, you've swallowed Hollywood's biggest group fiction yet, right alongside thinking your favorite reality show is actually unscripted. This lawlessness is often linked to the image of pirates perpetually intoxicated on rum. Hollywood lied to you. Pirates were not just rum-soaked buffoons staggering around ships. If you believed every pirate was perpetually wasted, swigging rum from dawn to dusk, blame Errol Flynn's sword fights with bottles, Robert Louis Stevenson's 19th century Treasure Island, and cheesy Halloween costumes turning pirates into frat boys on spring break. Here's the hardcore truth: actual pirate codes, like Black Bart Roberts' early 18th century rules. Shout out to Charles Johnson's 1724. A general history of the pirates explicitly banned drunkenness. Pirates drank grog, watered-down rum, not for fun cocktails, but because fresh water spoiled fast, and no captain wanted a crew too blitzed to fight or sail. The British Navy invented grog to keep sailors sober. Pirates shamelessly copied their HR policies. So if you picture Jack Sparrow levels of hammered chaos, congrats, you swallowed Victorian fanfiction whole. Even pirates had stricter office rules than your last absurd corporate Zoom call. In addition to their drinking habits, stories claim all pirates were men, with women aboard considered bad luck. Hollywood lied to you. Victorian textbooks fed you dust, and even your sea shanty playlist played you insisting pirates were only barrel-chested men, and that women on deck meant certain doom. If you believe this, think again. History's true pirate queens didn't just break these rules, they torched them. Everyone repeats the tired myth that pirate ships were sweaty boys' clubs, and movies still throw around cringe-worthy lines about women being bad luck at sea. Blame early 19th century adventure novels, like those by Captain Charles Johnson, and every pirate flick since for drilling that lie into our brains. But here's the bombshell: actual maritime court records from the early 18th century, like the explosive trial documents of Anne Bonny and Mary Read, show women who bullied, fought, and led boarding parties, often out-pirating the men. And they weren't lone rebels. Grace O'Malley, a 16th century Irish pirate lord, negotiated directly with the English crown. Archaeologists even found female Viking sailors buried with weapons, shattering that old sailor superstition straight into Davy Jones's locker. If you're still claiming women at sea brought bad luck, congrats, you bought a no-girls-allowed fairy tale penned by landlubbers with quills, not pirates with cutlasses. Next time someone says girls can't sail, remind them that real pirate queens owned the deck. And no, it's not like expecting a flat earth in a GPS world. The harsh realities of pirate life meant that many, regardless of gender, met quick ends in fiery battles. You've been sold a pirate fairy tale. Blame Hollywood for that. The movies want you to believe every pirate died in a blaze of glory, swords swinging, flags flying, cannonballs exploding everywhere. But real history mocks that fantasy. If you believed pirates were doomed 20-somethings, like Captain Jack Sparrow or Blackbeard going down in fiery spectacle, think again. Reality check: Captain Henry Morgan, the legendary 17th century privateer, retired loaded and became lieutenant governor of Jamaica. Alexander Dalziel, notorious in early 18th century piracy, didn't die fighting. He petitioned the British Parliament for a pardon and legally ran a trading business afterward. Archaeology in Port Royal reveals pirate families owning homes and sending kids to school. Late 1600s property records confirm it. If you pictured pirates dropping dead young, congrats, Hollywood was your biased career counselor. Some pirates swapped sea battles for cushy retirements. So next time you hear dead men tell no tales, remember plenty of pirates outlived their legends and probably their enemies' grandkids. It's like believing mobsters all die in drive-by shootings when most retire to golf courses. Yet their fierce reputations were emblazoned boldly under the skull and crossbones Jolly Roger flag. You've been blatantly lied to by centuries of pop culture piracy. Hollywood studios and those prudish Victorian illustrators have brainwashed you into believing every pirate flew the same boring skull and crossbones flag. But real pirates, their flags were the wildest rebellion in maritime history. If you believed every pirate ship flew a white skull on black, like your typical adventure movies and Halloween junk have sold you, think again. 17th and 18th century naval logs and first-hand testimonies reveal pirate flags were anything but uniform. Blood-red backgrounds, dripping hearts, ticking hourglasses, and skeletons caught in all sorts of bizarre poses. The Queen Anne's Revenge, Blackbeard's infamous ship, unearthed through archaeology, showed his crew's terrifying, unique symbols. Zero brand consistency here. Need proof? Dive into Howard Pyle's late 19th century paintings, flags brandishing full skeletons, swords, and weirder motifs than your latest viral meme. If you swallowed the myth that pirates all sported the same flag, you just bought into the dullest design cover-up in history. Truth is, the skull and crossbones is the Comic Sans of pirate flags, painfully basic and wildly overused. Despite the fear their flags inspired, many pirates were uneducated and illiterate. Hollywood lied. Pirates were not dumb, illiterate sea dogs. If you believed those swashbuckling movies and Victorian penny dreadfuls, you fell for a centuries-old myth. Those films paint pirates as drooling buffoons who can barely scratch a 10 to sign their name. But the real Caribbean pirates would have laughed and tossed those silly scripts overboard faster than a mutiny. Surviving pirate articles from the early 18th century, like the notorious Articles of Black Bart Roberts, show rows of neat, legible signatures, not clumsy marks. Check the British Admiralty records from 1722 for proof. Pirates like Henry Every and Charles Vane penned detailed letters, many preserved at the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich, proving they wrote far better than most people managing Instagram accounts today. So if you bought into the pirate illiterate fantasy, congrats, Hollywood pulled a fast one. And next time you grimace at your accountant's math, remember those 18th century pirates probably kept cleaner books than today's so-called civilized number crunchers. Honestly, they might have been better at spreadsheets than your average tech startup employee juggling TikTok trends. Their lack of formal education did not stop them from being seen as chaotic sea bandits. Hollywood lied about pirates, and you can blame those blockbusters and Victorian penny dreadfuls for turning them into brainless, backstabbing thugs. The real Caribbean. Less sea chaos, more workplace democracy than your last startup job. Ready for your peg leg to be knocked off. Everyone thinks pirates were drunken lunatics chasing treasure, thanks to Golden Age films and sensationalist 19th century scribes who made eye patches and anarchy their entire brand. But open a real source, Alexander Exquemelin's late 17th century first-hand account, or the articles from Bartholomew Roberts' Royal Fortune, and you will see crews with elected captains, agreed loot splits, even early workers' compensation. Forget Captain Jack Sparrow-style dictatorship pirate ships ran like Survivor with cutlasses. So who had the world's most explosive labor union? Not Starbucks tri-armed deckhands demanding paid leave. Bought the myth. Congrats, you just fell for a story faker than a TikTok millionaire's garage. Interestingly, folklore sometimes paints pirates as Robin Hood figures who targeted only the rich. You've been conned by a Disney fairy tale, and Hollywood is the mastermind. Pirates as swashbuckling Robin Hoods. That's as fake as a plastic parrot on a shoulder. If you believed pirates were social justice warriors stealing from fat nobles to feed the poor, thank Errol Flynn and sugar-coated Disney movies for that pipe dream. The brutal truth, exposed by 18th century court records and grim ship logs, shreds this myth. British Admiralty files from 1713 and Lloyd's List Insurance claims prove pirates targeted anyone with cargo humble fishermen, defenseless grandmas in canoes. No one was off limits. Their victims, hard-working merchant sailors, not evil aristocrats. The only help pirates gave was forcibly recruiting crew members' charity, right? So if you imagined pirates handing out gold to orphans, congrats, you'd be broke within minutes in the Caribbean. Pirate democracy just meant splitting the loot among cronies. Robin Hood never sported a peg leg, and if he did, he'd have robbed Maid Marian too. Think about it, trusting Disney's pirate story is like expecting a reality show to reveal the true hunger behind a gourmet Instagram feast. These legends often arise from stories set during the singular golden age of piracy. You've been conned by a treasure chest of lies. Blame Hollywood and your high school history textbooks. The myth of one singular golden age of piracy. Total fabrication, cooked up by adventure-hungry Victorians and weaponized by blockbuster films. If you bought the pirate stereotype eye-patched, rum-guzzling maniacs endlessly reenacting Pirates of the Caribbean, you fell for Hollywood's greatest con. The real carnage began centuries earlier. Mediterranean corsairs were raiding ships in the 15th century, confirmed by authentic letters from Venetian ambassadors in the 1400s, not some Jack Sparrow fan mail. Caribbean piracy was just one brief chapter. Historian David Cordingley proves that the Golden Age from the 1600s to early 1700s is merely a blip in the vast pirate saga. Meanwhile, in 19th century China, Qing Shi commanded a pirate armada that terrified empires, with every detail recorded in Qing dynasty annals. Squashing pirate history into one era is like calling every burger a Big Mac cheap, lazy, and outrageously wrong. If you only believe in one golden age, congratulations, you just ghosted the most explosive seasons of pirate history. Throughout this era, pirates were universally hated and considered outlaws everywhere they sailed. You've been conned by a Hollywood myth. Pirates aren't universal villains hunted on every ocean. Hollywood's golden age and snobbish Victorian historians pushed the lie that pirates were pure evil. The real story is far messier. Pirates were sometimes government employees on the payroll. If you bought the idea that pirates were ruthless criminals hated by all floating outlaws with zero allies, thanks swashbuckling films and early 20th century adventure novels for feeding you this cartoonish villain fantasy. Here's the bombshell. Hollywood buried pirate captains like Sir Francis Drake operated under official letters of marque from Elizabethan England. In the late 16th century, these legal papers transformed pirates into state-sponsored mercenaries. Source: National Archives, letters of marque, late 1500s. Spanish documents show these pirates were heroes at home, celebrated for plundering enemy fleets. Archivo General de Indias, late 1500s. If you pictured pirates as supervillains, congrats, you swallowed Hollywood's rejected bad guys bio. Today, governments hire hackers. Back then, Elizabethan England hired pirate consultants. Who's the real villain now? It's like thinking every hacker is a criminal mastermind without realizing some work for the CIA.